lay my life down at your feet, 'cause you're the only one I need. I turn to you and you are always there. In troubled times it's you I see. I put you first, that's all I need. I humble all I am, all to you. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. You were always, always there, every how and everywhere. Your grace abounds so deeply within me. You will never, ever change. Yesterday, today, the same. Forever till forever meets no end. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight. For you, we're living all for you. You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight. For you, we're living all for you. You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight. For you, we're living all for you. You are the way, the truth, and the life. We live by faith and not by sight. For you, we're living all for you. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. One way, Jesus, you're the only one that I could live for. Hello and good morning and welcome to People's Church San Diego. We're so glad you've come to join us and to worship with us in this beautiful Sunday God has given us. Would you join me in a word of prayer? Let's pray together. God, today we are reminded in the midst of the many voices we hear, we are reminded, God, that your voice needs to be the loudest in our ears. Lord, today we're reminded that although there's many ways, there's many religions, God, thank you because you are the way, you are the truth, and you are the life. And we thank you because we can find that today, God, as we worship together as a church family in a community. We thank you, God, because you are the way, you are the truth, and that you are the life. And we eagerly desire as we come together this morning, this afternoon, Lord, that you would come and you would allow us for these brief few moments, for these few minutes Allow us to refocus our mind. Allow us to refocus our hearts. Allow us to realign our desires to your will and your plan for us. Thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day. In Jesus' name, amen.
When it doesn't go my way, I know that it is not the end. I'm trusting you have better plans I haven't even dreamt of yet. I know that you are for me when everything's against me, and I put all my hope in you. Jesus, I will trust you. I will trust you. And I know you will never fail. I will trust you. Jesus, I will. Jesus, I will. I don't know how the story ends, but I know that you finished it. I'll close my eyes and just let go and fall into my only hope. There's safety in the falling when I surrender fully, and I put all my hope in you. Jesus, Jesus, I will trust you. I will trust you, and I know you never fail. I will trust you. Jesus, I will. I will. And Jesus, I will. I will. The only thing I know is God, you're in control. In every little detail, you are close. I'll never be alone. Here in the unknown, the power of your presence fills my soul. And now everything I know is God, you're in control. In every
presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. And I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I just sang another song. So take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. And I'm sorry when I've come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot to chore enough. So take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. More than anything that you can do. I just want you. And more than anything that you can do, I just want you. Oh, more than anything that you can do, I just want you.
Good morning. Welcome again to our series that we started about 5 weeks ago on Wise Up. Sheldon Garin, a history professor at Princeton University, wrote a book called Beyond Our Means, While America Spends, the World Saves. He's trying to answer the question how the American world came to live beyond their means, while the rest of the world saves. Why so much of Europe and Asia embraced and stuck with the saving culture, while the U.S. first adopted the saving culture and then later abandoned it. An article written in one of the investment magazine made a statement that Americans are some of the worst savers in the developed world. Everyone, I don't know where you are with your money matters, but everyone has money worries, no matter what economic status you are in. The rich people worry about how to get more money and where to put their money. The poor worries about where to get money, how to get money, and then the middle class worries about how they can stretch the money that they have. Nearly 40% of young adults worry about money at least once a week or more. Forbes magazine covered a story that said young adults are so stressed out and desperate about their student loan debts that they couldn't enjoy their present job. So what they do is they work harder and longer hours to earn more. And in the end of the month, they figure out, I've worked so hard. I deserve to reward myself. And then they go out and do a splurge spending and either wipe out their account, their finances, or get them in deeper debt. And it becomes a cycle. Our generation is not handling money wisely. That's just the fact. Americans are not handling money well, according to a lot of the economists. How are you doing when it comes to your money? Do you make enough? Do you have enough? Do you worry about it? Are you drowning in debt? Now, many people do not believe that the Bible has so much to say about money. Did you know that there are over 2,000 verses in the Bible about money and possession? There are over 500 verses on prayer, over 500 verses on faith, and more than 2,000 verses on money. In the New Testament alone, 11 out of 39 parables Jesus spoke about, is about finances. It is very obvious that God knows that this is going to be a very critical matter in human life and governing. Now, the Word of God is an authority on the subject, and the numbers of verses about money represents how important this is to God. The verses about finances in Scripture are all plain and practical, that anybody can understand it. It is not written in difficult format. You do not need to have a degree to be a degree holder in economics and finances to understand what God says about this important matter. So every one of us can be wise. Everyone can learn how we can be wise about our finances. If there's one area that causes more confused thinking than any other area in life, it is this area of finances. There are more divorces over finances than there are over sex. 51% of all divorces occur over financial tension and pressure. Now get this, making a lot of money is no guarantee that you know how to manage it. We know this. Some people make a lot of money but couldn't manage it. Somebody wrote, when I started working, I used to dream of the day when I might earn the salary that I am now starving on. Think about that. Now, 1 out of 8 families uses more than 40% of their income to pay debt. That's not a very good picture. The Bible says this, that how wise you are with your money determines how God can bless your life. Jesus said it. The Bible says that the way you handle your finances, your money, is an evidence of wisdom and spiritual maturity. And if you don't manage your money well, if you're not responsible with what God has already given you at this moment, the Bible says that God is not going to entrust you with the responsibility of true spiritual blessing. Now, notice what Luke 16:11 says on top of your outline. It says there, Jesus talking, Jesus said this, if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? Get a load of that verse, right? In other words, what he's saying, your personal responsibility with your finances determines basically how much God blesses your life. Finance, folks, is a test of our character. Now, the wisest man in the world was also the richest man in the world in his time. His name was Solomon. He wrote down God's financial principle in a book called Proverbs. And God, in his foreknowledge, knows that we will really have problems in this area. So today, what I want to do is go back and review this 5 most important financial principle given to us by Solomon in the scripture on how to be wise with our finances according to God's economy. Now, just in case, just because, for instance, you may be saving doesn't mean you're doing the other principle. Or you might be giving what belongs to God, but you may not be doing the others. I call it, it's like driving a car, right? You cannot go anywhere with 2 tires or even 3 tires. You need all 4 to get where you need to go. The issue is this. God has given us this 5 principles, 5 things in order for our finances to be in the way God wants them to be and to be fully financially free. They are habits. They're simply habits that needs to be developed, right? There's something that needs to be ingrained in our life. We don't do it once and we'll say, okay, God, I did it once. How come it's not happening? You've got to make them a part of your lifestyle. So what are they? Pull out your outline. First principle is this. You got to earn an honest living. This is what we call the principle of work. The Bible says that you and I were created to work. And the very first command of God is to go to work. To Adam, we're made in God's image and God is a worker. Work is one of the 10 commandments. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, here's what Paul wrote. He said, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, we appeal to people. No, he said this, we command them. What did he say? Settle down and get to work. Earn your living. Now notice that word earn. The first principle, folks, of financial freedom and to be wise with our finances is you've got to earn a living. It starts with that. Now every once in a while I meet some people of this, who are, I call them spiritually, super spiritually passive type of people, right? They would say things like, yeah, I'm praying that God will provide for me. I'm just waiting on God to provide for for me to provide for my needs. Can I say this? You got to get a job. That is the first principle. God provided you when He gave you a brain. He gave you 2 hands, 2 feet, a back to work. He's given us energy. And the point is this, God is saying, I provided all that to you. Now go out there and earn an honest living, because that's the start, basically, to being wise about our finances. God gave us what He wants us to have in order to provide for ourselves. Now, there are some entrepreneurs, they're sitting around, and I've heard this, people who say, I want to start a business, and I already have a business, I already have a company, but I'm waiting for my ship to come in. I'm waiting for that big contract to come in. You know what? I'd like to encourage you. Why don't you just go out there, sell yourself, find that contract instead of waiting for that contract to come to you. In fact, the Bible says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 10, it says there, and this is not Pastor Phoebe's word, this is Paul's word in the Bible, it says, if a man won't work, he shouldn't eat. Right? That doesn't say if he can't work, because sometimes there are people who cannot work due to illness, due to sickness. It says there, if he won't work. If it's a matter of character, you're something, just maybe you're passive, or there are people who just wants to be taken care of. Paul said, if you really want to be wise about money, the first step you need to do is earn an honest living. Whatever that living is, if it's honest, I don't care. God wants us to earn an honest living, because that's the start. The second principle is this: plan your spending. This is what we call the principle of budgeting. You've got to set some financial goals and stick with it. Now notice what Proverbs 27, 23, 24 says. Read that with me. It says, riches can disappear how fast? Fast. So watch your business interests closely. Know the state of your flocks and herds. Now, when Solomon wrote this, almost everybody had their assets tied to flocks and sheep and cattle and goats, right? They were shepherds and ranchers. So he's saying, know where your assets are. Know the state of your flocks. If Solomon would say this today, he would say, know the state of your stocks. Know the state of your investment. Know the state of how much money you're bringing in, where you put your money. Know where it's going. Now, here's the starting point. Keep good records. You've got to keep track of your finances. You've got to be aware of how to use your money. And I think we all have problems with this. Let's face it. Have you ever said, I've said this before, and maybe some of you have said, I just don't know where it all goes. I just had all this. I just got paid. Coming Friday, it's all gone. Well, if you're saying that, that's a warning light, a big red warning light that says you are not keeping good records. People always say, we always say this to each other, oh, money talks, money talks. Yes, it does. It says hello and goodbye, right? It doesn't talk. It just quietly slips away. And it doesn't leave a return or even a forwarding address. That's true. You have to plan your spending, but in order to plan your spending, you've got to keep good records. Proverbs 23:23 says, read that with me. It says, get the facts at any cost, at any price. You need to be realistic about your finances. You need to ask 3 questions or 4 questions. Let me give you a simple equation. Ignorance plus easy credit equals disaster. And that's the reason why all of us are in disaster. People are in disaster today, not knowing what they have, and then easy credit. People are just saying, come on, sign up now, you pay later. That equals disaster. There are 4 things you need to know. First, in your outline, first you need to know, what do you own? What do I own? What's your asset? You need to make an inventory of the list and list the things that you own. Second is you need to know what you owe. That's your liability. Those are your debts. Get them all out on the table and figure out how much debt you really are. I would even say this for those of you who are planning to get married. This is one of those realities you cannot avoid. Sit down and lay it down and say, hey, I have this student loan. I have this student loan. I have this credit card loan. Know exactly what you owe before jumping into marriage. Third is you need to know what I earn. Not only do you need to know what you own and what you owe, but know how much are you earning. It's amazing how many people don't even know exactly what they earn. And fourth is you need to know where is my money going? Where is it going? When I do marriage counseling, I discovered that a lot of marriage problem occurs because one spouse is kept in the dark about all these four things. I've heard couples say, Pastor Fee, we never discuss about finances because that's bad luck. I learned from my parents that you never talk about finances. That is the most irrational, illogical way of thinking. You need to know basically what you both have. You need to know what you own. You need to know what you owe. You need to know what you earn together, and you need to decide where it's going to go. You need to write it down, keep a log. There's a lot of computer programs out there. Max always talks about Quicken, and I don't know what's still out there. I don't care how you do it, but the point is this: just keep a little journal and write it down. I'll never forget my dad. He has a little notebook, just a little spring notebook, and that's where he writes it down. And he's not a computer geek, he doesn't know anything about computers, so he writes it down, and it works for him. Now this is a principle that's in God's word, folks. First, earn an honest living. Second, plan your spending and keep good records. Now notice what Proverbs 21:5 says: plan carefully, notice, and you will have plenty. If you act too quickly, you will never have enough. This is referring to what we call today impulse buying. Impulse buying is saying this: I see it, I've got to have it. It's not window shopping, it's shopping, right? It's in the window, it's in the catalog, it's online, it's on the television, and man, every advertisement is made to encourage impulse buying. Come on, let's face it. During the quarantine, people were telling me, the malls were closed, Pastor Phoebe, but no, Amazon is open and all the shopping networks are open. Every advertisement out there encourage impulse buying. They don't want you to even think about it. Look at the catchy phrases that they use: easy payment. Or they'll say, you don't have to pay now. After 6 months or after quarantine, you can pay. Folks, can I say this? There are no easy payment. I think we said this 2 weeks ago. It is very easy to get into debt and not out of it. Now, sometimes the gimmick that they say is, and I fall into this, like, okay, there's only one item left and someone has it in their cart. If you don't buy it now, you're going to lose this chance. You're going to lose the sale. Now, advertisers know that there's no one word that causes impulse buying more than any other word. Some of us, including myself, cannot resist this word because it's the word that is almost irresistible to us, right? It's called sale. 50% sale, 60% sale, 70% sale. Some of us cannot stand to miss a sale. Oh, I gotta buy it now. It's on sale. I used to tell Max, look how much I'm saving you. Really? Look how much I'm saving you because I bought this on sale. Now notice what Proverbs 21:20 says. It's God's IQ test. This was kind of like a slap in my face, okay? It says stupid people spend their money as fast as they get it. The Bible says, if I spend my money as soon as I get it, I'm a fool. I'm stupid. I'm dumb. I'm acting in a very foolish manner. I didn't say that. That's what Proverbs say, right? That's what Proverbs say. I read recently that the average American spends 6 hours a week in shopping-related activities. And many of you are above average. You don't even have to leave your house today. This is what makes this very, very difficult to overcome. You don't even have to leave your house to shop for sale. It's all in the click of the mouse, right? You see it, and they put it in 3D. You can move it around. They give the specification. And the more you read about it, the more you look at it, the more you're like, okay, I'm going to get it. Now, can I say this? If you don't get anything else, get what I say right now. Financial freedom is not determined by how much you make. It is determined by how much you spend. If you don't have a plan, your yearning is going to always exceed your earning. That's just a given. We want more than we can afford. You're always going to be in debt. Why? Your yearnings will always exceed your earnings. No matter how much money you make, you're going to spend more. And no matter how much money you make, you're always dreaming to spend more. That's just how it is, right? They always do. You need to have a plan for your spending. Now, how do you break the habit of impulse buying? How do you spell relief? The word is budget. It's called budget. Now, what is a budget? A budget is simply a planned spending. A budget is telling your money where you want to go rather than wondering where it went. If you want to control impulse buying, you've got to nip it in the budget. And I think we all need to say, Lord, help us in this one. I was talking to someone last week and say, man, this whole quarantine, people think we're saving money, but we're actually buying things online. Amazon is always in the doorway dropping things. And Pastor Phoebe, man, I'll be honest, I fell for that. One time, someone posted this nice grill that they have on their table. And all of a sudden, I'm like, they were saying, oh, this is really great. This is all awesome. It's smokeless grill. And I saw it. I'm like, I talked to my son, hey, check this out. I think I want one. So we all fall for those, right? We see somebody have it. They have good reviews. And one of the things I've learned is my son, Mom, you got to find the review. You got to see if they're really good. So if the reviews are good, you're like, okay, get it. And one time I purchased something like, Mom, the reviews. Yeah, I said 5 reviews. And I said, how many reviews were there, Mom? 50. And he said, okay, all those were family members of the product they're selling. Now, how amazing is that? How sad is that of us, right? And so we all need prayer. We all need wisdom in that. I do, you do, everybody does, right? Maybe a very few of you got this nip in the butt, and good for you. Teach your children how to do that. There's a third principle of financial freedom and how to be wise with our finances, and it is this. And we all know this. Our parents had told us this: save for the future. This is the principle of investing. Proverbs 21:20 says, the wise man saves for the future. The Bible says it is wise to save, but we are not very good at this as Americans, unfortunately. As of 2020, Europeans rated as much better in saving than any other countries. The average European citizen saves 12% of their income. Do you know how much the average American saved? Less than 5.3% of our income. And 1 in 5 is not even saving at all. Now, unfortunately, we live in this spend it now, live for today mentality. We do not follow God's principle to save for the future. Notice what Proverbs 13:11 says. Money that comes easily, what did it say? Disappears quickly. Now, according to one of the newspaper in Florida, they had done a study. They found out that 70% of lottery winners in Florida are bankrupt within a few years. Lottery winners, like they get this sum total, right, of their money. But after a few years, they would file for bankruptcy. Now notice what that verse says in Proverbs 13:11. Money that comes easily disappears quickly. But money that is gathered little by little will grow. What is that little by little? It's called investment. It's called saving. We need to set 3 kinds of financial goals: saving goal, spending goal, and giving goals. We need to know those and be very clear about each one of them. Now, the Bible has a lot to say about investing, more than any other material that we can cover today. Earn an honest living, that's the principle of work. plan your spending. That's the principle of budgeting. And then save for the future. That's the principle of investing. The fourth principle is this, and some of you, when you see this, you're going to turn me off and walk away, okay? But please don't. Please don't. Give me a moment and let me enlighten you. I know this is a hot topic. This is an issue where people say, that's why I don't want to come to church, because the church is all about making money. Hold on for a minute. Give us a chance to explain it to you. And then you decide. No one's forcing you. One of the rules I say at people's churches is, if you feel like you're forced to give, don't give. If you feel like they're putting guilt trip on you to give, don't give. Because once you give at that point, you've really lost the joy of giving. Now, the fourth principle is to return 10% back to God. That's what we call the principle of tithing. Now, I'd like to say this in clarification before we get to this point. Many people really get nervous when they see the number 10% or hear the 10% talk about money when it comes to church. Or others get really touchy about this matter. Maybe you are. And I understand, because many people do not understand the biblical principle about this whole big deal about tithing. Some people think that a tithe is a payment to the church or a payment to God, right? Others think that it's a money-making scheme of the church to get money from their parishioners so that the church can build big buildings. That's just not everything. Other people believe that it is a key to prosperity, healing, and getting everything you want from God. There are people who think that if I give my tithe, I'm going to be a millionaire. If I give my tithe, God's going to give me everything I want. Well, that's not necessarily true. So what I'll do is this. I'll simply answer the questions you have in your mind that you don't really want to ask anyone. You know, even in the Christian community, it's like you all of a sudden you learn you need to pay your tithes and you don't know why, you don't know what the purpose is, you don't even know how, you don't even know where do I go, where do I give my tithes. And so we all have this question, and yet we're scared to ask. So what I'll do is I'll simply answer the question you have in your mind that we don't ask anyone, because we don't want to be labeled as, oh my gosh, you have little faith, you're so selfish, you're so unbelieving, you're so stingy with God. Now, I believe if we start with the right mindset, it will help us understand and clarify this whole matter, right? Now, in your outline, I put this. And Psalms 24:1, would you read that with me? It says, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who lives in it. The next verse in Deuteronomy 10:14 says, to the Lord your God belongs the heavens, even the highest heavens, and the earth and everything in it. In other words, everything in this world, including what I have amassed, belongs to God. Even I belong to God. Now notice what Deuteronomy 8:18 says. It says, remember the Lord your God is the one who makes you wealthy. Remember that. And I gave you this verse to kind of set the precedence of where we're going, to set it right, to give us some mindset where we're headed. So you say, Phoebe, I work hard for everything I have in my life. I am where I am because of my hard work. Yes, that is partially true. But who kept your heart beating? Who kept your brain chemicals balanced, functioning so that you can do your work intelligently, so that you can produce? Who gave you the oxygen you are breathing every moment of the day? Who helps you? Who protects you? Who gives you the energy? Who gives you that time, that job that you're in, and you're spending all your moments there? Now I say, Pastor Phoebe, are you trying to put guilt trip on me? No, I am not. I just want to put everything in the right perspective. So the first question now is this. Now that we know everything that we have belongs to God, right? Now what is this tithe? What is a tithe? A tithe simply means a tenth of something, earning, time, harvest, flocks, whatever, right? Now notice what God said in Leviticus chapter 27 verse 30. He said this, a tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees, what does it say? It belongs to God. And that's why we're not giving our tithes. We are returning our tithes. Why? Because it belongs to Him in the first place. You only give somebody that doesn't have it. But God owns it. So I'm returning that, right? Now notice what Leviticus 27:32 says. And every tithe, now get this, and every tithe of what? Of herds and flocks, every 10th animal of all that pass under the herdsman's staff, now notice this last part, shall be holy to the Lord. Now notice those last two phrases in those two verses. It is holy to the Lord and shall be holy to the Lord. In other words, God is saying, that is holy to me. Whatever that tithe is, whatever you give, whether it's finances, whether it's energy, whether it's time, whether it's, what did it say? Whether it's grain or fruit or flocks or anything like that, that is holy to the Lord, right? Now, why did God ask for 10%? Someone asks all the time, why did God ask 10%? Seriously, the answer is, I really don't know. I seriously don't know. The truth of the matter is He could have asked for 50% or even 90%. Why? Because He owns everything. He is the investor and He has placed an investment in my life. And He has the right to say, Phoebe, I want 80% of what I've invested in you and you keep 20%. He has the right to do that, right? He has the right to ask me whatever He desires. Now, just like what those verses said, we don't really own anything. We get to use it for 60, 80, 90, even 100 years. But in the end, folks, we didn't bring anything in this world. And guess what? We are not taking anything away. Anything away. We only get to use God's finances, God's energy, God's time, God's all these assets that God says, I'm going to let you use it here while you're on earth. And I want you to return 10% to me. Because you don't really own anything. Everything that we have comes from God. So the next question that we ask is, why does God tell us to tithe? Why? The purpose of tithing, notice it says in Deuteronomy 14:23, the purpose of tithing is to teach you always to put God first in your life. Friends, can I say this? And please hear me out this. And I think we need to hear this to put our hearts in place. God doesn't need your money. He doesn't want your money. He doesn't need your money. One of the things that my dad told me earlier is, Phoebe, remember this. God doesn't need your money, but He wants what it represents. And what does our money represent? Our money represents our heart. He wants our heart. He wants us to trust Him, right? If this was not an issue in God's Word, He would not have written all those thousands of verses about money and finances. Folks, can I say this? And honestly, this really kind of put everything in perspective in me, because I thought when I was there, give your money to help other people, give your money so that the church can do its work, give your money. And so it was always a motivation, okay, so I can give. But you know what my dad told me? And I say, Phoebe, you know what? Because honestly, one day I came to my dad. This was when Max lost his job. We had no problem paying our tithes until Max lost his job that one time. And I came to my dad and said, Dad, surely God understands if I cannot pay my tithe because Max doesn't have a job. And you know what my dad told me? He said, Phoebe, If there's a day, if there's a time in your life where you really need to be faithful to God, it's this. This is a test of your faith. Give what belongs to God and let God take care of the rest. And I say this, man, when we did that, okay, we didn't become millionaire. I don't drive a Rolls Royce, but I want to let you know this. God has provided. We never got homeless. We never got hungry, right? We have more than we need. And the point is this, what my dad told me is this, and what God is teaching us, hey, I don't need the money. I can produce money. I can call on other people to give what you are not willing to give. But I want to give you a chance, Phoebe, to trust me. I want your heart, not your money. So the next question people ask me is, where should I tithe? Pastor Phoebe, do I tithe to United Way, or do I tithe to my brother who's been out of work for 3 years? Is that a tithe? No, that's not a tithe. That's charity. Tithe is an act of worship, folks. It goes directly to God. Now, God was very specific about this. He gives us where to bring our tithe. Notice what Malachi 3:10 says. It says, bring to the storehouse a full tenth of what you earn. Notice that. A full tenth of what you're where do I bring it? To my storehouse. What is that storehouse? It is the temple or the place where you worship God. And then in that verse, you'll see that context. Test me in this, say the Lord, all powerful. I will open the windows of heaven for you and pour out the blessing you need. Blessings you need. I'm not going to preach all about that, but I'd like to answer the question, where do I bring my tithe? God says, you bring it to your storehouse. And what is the storehouse? It's the place where you worship God. It's the place where you eat, where you receive God's word. This is the only place. Now notice, if you read that passage, this is the only place in the Bible where God says, you test me. He dares people. Only one place in the Bible God says, this is how you can prove I will answer my word. I will meet my word. I will fulfill my promise. You can prove it by trusting me, by bringing your full tithe to the storehouse. And he said, you put me first, and I will take care of everything in your life. Now, I'll say this. You're not going to be a millionaire overnight. I'm not preaching that. And you're not going to drive a Rolls Royce. But here's what I'll say. The moment you take care of what belongs to God, God will make sure He will take care of you. Now the next question is, when am I supposed to tithe? When am I supposed to give my tithe? You do it on the day you worship. Now notice what it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 2. Again, Paul gives us an instruction. He said, on every day, on every Lord's Day, each of you should put aside something from what you have earned during the week and use it for this offering. The amount depends on how much the Lord has helped you earn. It's very clear. You see, when you give to God on the first day of the week, the first part of your day, the first part of your finances, you are actually declaring, God, you're really first in my life. And that's the purpose of tithing. We just read this. The purpose of tithing is to remind us that God should be first in our life. Now notice that verse says, put aside. What does that mean? That means you have to plan it. It is not something impulsive. Tithing should not be an impulsive thing. You've got to plan it so that you are honoring God, and that's the purpose of tithing. I don't know about you, but ever since we had quarantine, we've encouraged people to give online. I used to give writing my checks. And I still do. But lately, because of all the close-up, we've been giving our tithes online. But I'd like to say this. You know, one of the practice I do is every time I sit down and write a check, man, I have a God moment. I say, wow, God, thank you. Thank you that you've entrusted us this. And God, thank you that I have the ability, that I'm in the capacity to return and give back to you. Return what belongs to you. And I want to let you know this. You've got to plan it. It's not something like, okay, I'm going to give this week. I'm not going to give next week. No, Paul said that we have to do it on a weekly basis. Now, then it says there, you've got to plan for it because you are honoring God's plan and purpose for tithing. Now then you can watch how God blesses and take care of your needs because he promised to. Now Proverbs 3, chapter 3, verse 9 and 10 gives us the promise about tithing, right? What will God do to us if we obey this principle? Now notice what it says here in Proverbs 3:9. Honor the Lord by giving him the first part of all your income, and he will fill your barns with wheat and barley and overflow your wine vats with the finest wines. Now God says, basically the principle says there, that if you honor him with the first part of what he has entrusted you financially, he will take care of you. And even more, I think many of us can say, God did not only take care of my needs, but he even blessed me with all the things I don't need. So some of those extra wants in life, right? Folks, can I say this? There are more promises related to giving in the Bible than any other subject. Why? Because God wants us to learn to be a giver like him. God is a giver, right? But I need to say this. Some of you are saying, well, Pastor Phoebe, I've been tithing and tithing, but I'm not seeing God blessing my life. Well, you've got to do all 5 principles. Remember I said, you cannot go anywhere, drive a car with 3 wheels. You've got to get all 4 wheels running. You've got to do all these 5 principles, all 5. You've got to learn to earn an honest living. You've got to plan your spending. You have to save for the future. You've got to return what belongs to God. And then the 5th principle is very important. And we need this. We need to enjoy what God has already given us. This, my friend, is what we call the principle of contentment. We are not satisfied with what we have. We always want something else. People are so busy getting more and more, and they don't have any time to enjoy what they already have, right? San Diego syndrome goes something like this. People go out and they get overextended. Their yearning exceeds their earnings. They buy a house more than they can afford. They buy a car better than they can afford. They overspend. They get all kinds of credit debt. And then they go out, both husband and wife, and they work to hustle to make ends meet because they bought more than they could afford. And there's a constant tension, constant frustration, constant fatigue because we are always trying to keep up with the Jones, trying to keep up with everybody around us. And you know what? Social media doesn't help at all. Pretty soon we get real tired and the relationship starts to frazzle. We don't even have time for each other, much less we don't have time for our kids because we're always busy trying to earn money to pay for the things that we bought with money we don't have to impress people who don't even care or we don't even care about. Let me say this clearly, folks, just a reminder. Kids don't need things. Kids need parents. Kids don't need things, they need attention. They don't need quality time, as the myth says. People say, oh, I don't spend a lot of time with my kids, but I give them quality time. Are you serious? Kids do not even know what quantity time is. They need quantity time. There's no thing to a kid like, okay, son, let's spend some quality time here. They don't know that concept, but they know time. They know quantity. You ask your kids, would you rather have me spend 1 quantity minute with you or hang out with you all day? No doubt about it. They'll say, Dad, spend all day with me. You don't even have to be doing stuff, folks. Parents, sometimes just hanging out, just laughing together and sitting down. I know we rationalize this and we say, well, it's only temporary, Pastor Phoebe. We're hustling right now, but it's all for my future. It's all for the future of our kids. It's just right now. We're just hustling right now, but eventually it's going to get better. Are you kidding me? You know what happened to us today? The temporary solution that we say, it's just as temporary, became a permanent lifestyle. I've seen this happen in a lot of the people closest to my life, people I grew up with, people I see, couples that I officiated their marriages. You say, one of these days, Pastor Phoebe, when things settle down, can I give you the truth? Things will never settle down. They are not going to settle down until you choose to settle them down. If you wait to settle down, by the time the kids are grown up, by that time it's too late. They're gone. There's no memories. There's no recollection. I was asking when I was in youth ministries back then, I'm like, what are the moments that you remember that you spent with your parents that really impacted your life? And he said, I only remember once when we went on a trip, and that was it. Folks, Hebrews 13:5 is a very powerful verse that says this: be content with what you have. I think it's something that is a prayer that we all need to say. God, help me to be content with what you have already blessed me. Thanksgiving is around the corner, folks, and man, people are going, what's for Thanksgiving? What are we going to do for Thanksgiving? Now that we're in the purple state, we're not allowed to be together, and now everything, all the restrictions are out there again. What are we going to do in Thanksgiving? You know what? Can I say this? How about be different? Instead of splurging with all the food, why don't you as a family, or can I say this, if you don't have children, why don't you as a couple go out? I don't know. Go out on the beach, go out on a camp, go out somewhere, sit down and count your blessings and see what God has done in your life. I think that would be something worth remembering, not only for you, but for your family and your children. Now you ask me, Pastor Phoebe, do these principles really work? Absolutely. And you know why I can stake my life on it? Because they are God's principle. And you say, well, this sounds like somebody's principle. I heard this from my financial planning. Yes, they borrowed God's principle. If you notice all the things that we talk about, you already heard. You already know. Why? A lot of those financial teachers out there and instructors and motivators got their principle basically from Scripture. Two things I'd like to say is this, though, before we close. One, you have to do all. You cannot just pick and choose. Like what I said, this is like a car running on 4 wheels, at least this one 5. And 2, you have got to do them in the right order. Just follow. And I like to say this. Maybe you've done it your way for so many days, or for so many years. Here's the world's order. What most people would do with their money. They earn it, and then they spend it. They enjoy it. If they have any left over, they repay it, right? If they have any left over after that, they might save a little. If they have any left over that, then they give it a little bit to somebody. Let me show you God's order on financial wisdom. You earn it, you tithe it, put God first, you save it, and then you repay it, and then you enjoy the results of that in your life. The root of all financial problem, folks, is really a matter of values and trust. What do I value and who do I trust? Notice what that verse in Job 31:24 says. If I put my trust in money, if my happiness depends on wealth, it would mean that I denied the God of the heavens. Wow. What he's saying there is this: whatever I trust for my happiness is my idol, is my God. Now I want to close by praying for all of us, because we all need prayer in this area. If you have no problems with this, great for you. And maybe you can start helping other young people, helping your children on how they can be financially smart. God wants us to live this kind of life. And again, I'll stress this. If you have this kind of feeling about money and church, I'll say this, you have a right to feel, because maybe you did not know. Maybe you're so clueless. But now that you know, I ask you Just like what we say, getting wisdom is the most important thing you can do. Maybe this area is something that is so critical, even before the end of this year. Sit down and say, God, you know what's going on with my finances. You're aware. God, would you please help me? God wants to help you. But you've got to do two things. One, you've got to do your part. And second, I'd like to say this, really trust God. Give what belongs to God and see what He's going to do in your life. Do your part. Maybe what you need to do is take this outline, take the outline session, do a little self-evaluation. Maybe as a couple, if you're brave enough, sit down and say, honey, let's sit down. As a family, put a check mark by each of the principles that you're already doing, and then put a star by the ones that you're going to start changing and you're going to start doing probably today or this week. Now, I'd like to say this. I know that God has brought you to this site today because He knows the stress and the struggle that you're facing when it comes to your finances. So how about this? I just want to challenge you. If you have tried doing it your way for so many years, I challenge you this year, beginning today, and maybe beginning before the year start, why don't you take God's challenge? Why don't you take Him up to His challenge and say, hey, trust me with this principle and I will take care of you. Would you bow your heads, please? Father, I don't know everyone's individual situation, but you do. And based, God, on statistics, based on the economy, based on all the things that are going on in our world today, many of us, many people today are experiencing financial stress and difficulty, God. Lord, I just pray, I know that you want us to hear this. And although some of us, God, don't want to really talk about this, but it's in your word. There are over 2,000 scriptures, Lord, referring to this. So apparently you're telling us that this is important. So God, help us this morning. As they follow your principles, God, I pray that you will miraculously turn around their finances. I know, God, that many of them did not get into debt overnight, and they're not going to get out of debt overnight. But Father, I pray that you would replace that debt with dedication to do the right thing. Replace the pressure with your peace. Help them, God, to get out of the hole and into your path to financial wisdom and success. Pray this in your heart quietly. Say, Father, I want to follow your financial principle. God, forgive me for spending more than I make. Forgive me for unwise purchase. God, help me to get back on track with your plan. Today, I commit myself to your financial principles, God. I've tried it my way, Lord, and I'm not quite satisfied. As a matter of fact, I am miserable. So God, with your help, I'm going to start keeping better records. I'm going to learn to plan my spending. And with your help, God, I'm going to save some for the future. I'm going to put you first in my finances by returning the tithe that belongs to you. And God, help me to enjoy what I already have. Open my eyes, God, to the many things that you've already blessed my life, and help me to enjoy it. Some of you might need to pray this. Say, Jesus Christ, I invite you to be the financial manager of my life, to be the complete manager of my life. I want to trust you from this day forward, not only with my finances, but with my future. I ask you to forgive me for ignoring you all these years, for taking you for granted, Jesus. But God, this evening, this morning, before the end of this year, I want to start right. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. God, all around the world today, people are stressing out because of finances. And Lord, I know there's no easy quick fix to this. But Father, your principles are so practical. Even a child can understand. It is so doable. Now, God, I pray, help us to take the necessary steps towards this. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you so much again, and I hope that was very enlightful for you. And I'd like to say this. If you belong to a place of worship, that's where your tithe belongs. Give what belongs. Return what belongs to God. And I will be praying for you. May God bless you and may God continually sustain you as we go through this. And can I say this to all our veterans again? Happy Veterans Day. Belated Happy Veterans. Thank you for serving and thank you for giving us your life so that we can have moments like this to express our worship and freedom to worship God. Thank you and may God bless you. I love you all. I'll see you next Sunday.
Who am I that the highest king would welcome? I was lost, but he brought me in. His love for me. His love for me. Oh, the sun sets free. Oh, it's free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. Realized He has ransomed me. His grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, He died for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Oh, I am who you say I am. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am.
I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. We are so glad you've come to worship with us today here at People's Church San Diego. And we know that as we continue to grow and as we continue to allow God to transform us from the inside out, as we allow God to transform our character, our attitude, we know that you and I are going to begin to see not just little changes, not just incremental changes, but we're going to see tangible changes. As we close, we always do this here in our church and in our church family. If you are with somebody, if you're alone, it's okay. Maybe you could just kind of close your eyes and pray for your loved ones if you're alone. But if you're with loved ones in your living room or family room, would you join hands as we pray for one another? Let's do that together, shall we? Let's do that right now. Father, we thank you today because we know that there is no luck or chance or accident when it comes to your plan and your will. And many times we don't understand, God, the things that happen to us. We don't understand circumstances, tragedy, and seeming catastrophe that happen all of a sudden. And God, as we face this new week, we know you are with us. We know you will go ahead of us. And we know that you are already waiting for us in that next week. And whatever challenges that are coming, we know that we don't have to face them alone. Holy Spirit, empower all of us. Remind us and allow us never to forget that whatever comes our way and whatever life throws at us, we will overcome, and you will strengthen us. You will lead us and guide us. Thank you again for this beautiful Sunday that we got to worship together. And God, we eagerly expect to see you and to spend time with you this coming week. We ask all these things in your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen. Once again, we want to say thank you so much for worshiping with us. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay cool, and we will see you back here next Sunday. God bless you.